Hi, I'm Robbie Lawler.
What's up, Fight Family? This is your favorite MMA coach, Thiago Alves, the Pitbull.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Pedro Munoz.
This is Mike Brown.
Guys, I'm Anheliger. And welcome.
And welcome.
And welcome.
And this is We Want Picks.
And you're watching We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks.
To We Want Picks. Hi, everybody from American Top Picks.
My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jacob and I are going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 48 Walker vs. Hill fight card. We're going to give you our picks, we're going to give you our bets, and we're going to give you our fantasy plays. And this card's been all over the place. We lost the main event. The fight order has shuffled a bunch of times. We have two new fights that were added basically today. And we're going to break down every single one of those for you. If you want $50 free, 50, ask anybody in the comment section, $50, go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners or multiple, and I'll send you $50. Just sign up, make a deposit, let me know. I'll send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. It's literally that simple. And this is brought to you by BETU Play to Earn. It is the world's first play-to-earn sports and esports betting game. Check it out now at betuearn.com. That's bet, the letter U, earn.com. How you doing, Jacob? We're coming off a killer weekend, or at least for the most part. I only missed one bet.
Feeling good. Ready for it.
All right, good. Good, Jacob. First up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have Mario Bautista versus Jay Perrin. Mario Bautista is 8-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off of a TKO loss to Trevin Jones. Jay Perrin, 10-4 overall. He's 4-1 in his last 5, and he's making his official UFC debut, and he's taking this on very, very short notice. Jay Perrin is taking this on short notice because Khalid Taha dropped. I actually had Khalid winning this fight, but this is a very different fight for Bautista now. Mario Bautista is a high-volume, give-one-to-get-one style striker. He sets a nice pace, and he's always plotting forward while being light on his feet.
Oh, yeah, it's a blank. Hold on, just blank screen. Blank screen on the stream.
I'm glad somebody said something.
F in the chat.
How about now?
Still blank. Oh, nope, there it goes.
They see it?
Got it. F in the chat. We're good now.
All right, well, I'm going to redo that intro, guys. I am going to restart. Sorry, Plague Runner. We chop it up. That was so smooth, too. Here we go. First up, at UFC Vegas 48, we've got Mario Bautista fighting Jay Perrin. Mario Bautista is 8-2 overall. He's 3-2 in his last 5, and he's coming off of a TKO loss to Trevin Jones. Jay Perrin taking this on incredibly short notice because Khalid Taha dropped, is 10-4 overall, 4-1 in his last 5, making his UFC debut. Mario Bautista is a high-volume, give-one-to-get-one style striker. He sets a nice pace. He's always plotting forward, and he really does a good job of staying light on his feet. He's constantly moving, and then he plants his feet to really let his hands go and throw those shots. Even though he's constantly moving, he is very hittable, which has gotten him into some trouble in the past. That's why when he was fighting Khalid Taha, I loved Khalid in that because Mario Bautista is hittable and Khalid hits like a truck. But he's fighting Jay Perrin, and Jay Perrin, again, he's stepping in on short notice. He's making his official UFC debut. He's coming off a few wins on the local circuit after a failed contender series attempt about 2 years ago. I've managed fighters for a very long time. I help out Glover Teixeira quite a bit. I'm from Connecticut, so is he. He runs a gym. So I help him out, and I get a lot of his students' fights. So I did my research on Jay Perrin in 2017 for Bellator because I got one of Glover's guys who, I got him the fight, Reggie Carvalho. He fought Jay Perrin. He submitted Jay Perrin. But obviously I, did the research then. So I'm familiar with Jay Perrin, how he fights, watched him fight in real life. And he's a pretty well-rounded guy. He's primarily looking to wrestle. He comes forward with strikes and then he shoots. He almost never gets his first shot. He has to constantly reshoot. But typically he'll shoot, not get it, then work you up against the cage, hold you against the cage, and just work from there. if he gets you to the ground, he's looking for ground and pound and isn't really chasing submissions. It's an interesting matchup because Mario Bautista is definitely the more powerful fighter. He's definitely the better striker. And it's not like Jay Perrin is like some stud wrestler that could definitely get this to the ground. But he can literally hold people against the cage for 25 minutes. Go back, he's had some regional title fights, and literally that's the fight. Takes a shot, he doesn't get it, he comes up to the upper body, holds you against the cage for 25 full minutes, and he manages to win those boring decisions. The trouble he gets into are against nasty wrestlers or slick BJJ guys like when I matched him up against Reggie Carvalho. But Mario is neither one of those. He's not a nasty wrestler. He's not a super slick BJJ guy. I'm going against the grain here. I'm going to take short notice Massachusetts Jay Perrin for the win. I'm just praying he's actually prepared. What do you think, Jakey boy?
You know, I kind of almost want to follow you on this, but the short notice does kind of scare me to death. You know, both these guys, when they strike, as you mentioned, they both kind of throw to kill, especially Bautista. And that's what got him in trouble in that Trevin Jones fight. I actually picked Trevin Jones in that matchup. He was a big underdog. And he sat down on a punch and basically tried to knock out Trevin, where Trevin just came with a shorter shot that just kind of beat him to the punch. He ate that shot and went down and ended up losing. So, you know, in this matchup, I really, really want to pick Jay Perrin. I don't blame you for picking Jay Perrin. The thing that kind of is holding me against it is because the takedowns, he isn't real successful with them. And it doesn't seem like he goes first for the takedowns. It seems like takedowns are a second thought inside of an exchange. So he's in an exchange, and then it's like, oh yeah, takedown. And it just seems like the timing is always kind of weird. I think that's why he struggles so much, because he's not all in on the takedown from the jump with the level change. So if he was that kind of fighter, I think I would pick him in this matchup, because I think if you get Mario to the ground, he kind of struggles there. But, you know, short notice, I think that, you know, he kind of gets a little fired up. He loves to throw bombs anyway when he does strike. And this matchup, I think Mario is going to be a little bit quicker and still have the power. So I'm going to go Mario Bautista in this matchup. But I definitely don't blame you for playing Jay Perrin. And we'll see the DraftKings lineups. If he's underpriced, you know, he's definitely going to be a good play.
Yeah, I'm hoping DraftKings sleeps on him because it is such short notice. There's literally, you know, we're filming this on Tuesday night. There's no odds anywhere on any book. So there's obviously no DraftKings. There's nothing else. But I do like Jay Perrin. Like I said, I'm just hoping he's prepared. That's all I can hope for. Is that bantamweight? That's his weight class, so he didn't, you know, he's not bumping up, nothing crazy. So we'll see what happens. Next up at UFC Vegas 48, we have Jonathan Pearce taking on Christian Rodriguez. Jonathan Pearce is 11-4 overall. He's 4-1 in his last 5, and he's coming off a nice submission over, at the time, undefeated Omar Morales. Christian Rodriguez is 7-0 overall. He's obviously 5-0 in his last 5, and he's coming off a submission win just last month. Jonathan was on this card. He lost his opponent, so he fell off the card, and now he's back on with Christian Rodriguez, who is taking this on short notice and making his UFC debut. Jonathan Pearce is a solid wrestler. He sets a nice pace both on his feet and on the ground. He has decent takedowns and pretty good BJJ. He took Omar Morales down 6 times in his last fight. Kai Kamaka down 4 times in the fight before that. He strikes first on the ground, and then he looks for submissions, meaning he's typically looking for a TKO and not really a submission. In 15 fights, he's only been to a decision 2 times. He leaves it all out there, and it's obvious when you see his pace. He's very fun to watch. He has a take one to give one striking style, so he just will slug it out on his feet. So his path is definitely on the ground. If Pearce sticks to a wrestling game plan like he did against Morales, Kamaka, Rosales, then I think he absolutely dominates this fight. Christian Rodriguez is a slick striker. He's got solid movement, good speed, very good takedown defense. He's coming off a win on the regional scene last month, but before that, he had a nice win on Contender Series. He bounces between 135 and 145. He has missed weight at 135 in the past. This fight is at 145, so weight should not be a concern, but I do expect him to be pretty undersized for this matchup. And honestly, this is one of the easiest picks on the card. It's a pretty clear Jonathan Pearce for me. He's getting a short notice UFC debut against a striker. Rodriguez did showcase some solid takedown defense on the Contender Series, but this is a giant step up in competition. I see Pearce with a bunch of takedowns, a bunch of control, and potentially a stoppage. He's going to be bigger, more experienced, more dominant in the grappling. I love Jonathan Pearce for everything. What do you think, Jake?
I love Jonathan Pearce. I was the original Jonathan Pearce lover. The guy's a good old boy from Tennessee. I adopted him into Arkansas wrestling with Bryce Mitchell, TJ Brown, and throw Ryan Hall in there too. I love the way he grapples. I love the way he wrestles. I agree. I think he's going to have no problem in this matchup. Like he said himself, I have never seen a striker out-wrestle a wrestler. That's his motto. He's just going to out-wrestle everyone. And I see him out-wrestling Christian Rodriguez. I think he's a better grappler than people give him credit for. I think Jonathan Pearce, in the beginning, is going to kind of not struggle, but he's going to take him some time. But eventually, he's going to get those takedowns and do what he does. So I am a Jonathan Pearce all the way. I wish he was actually going into this matchup. I saw undefeated. I knew Jonathan Pearce was an underdog in the last matchup. I'm like, oh my God, Jonathan Pearce is going to be able to be my lock of the week. And then I saw the odds, and then everything started coming out, and I think he's a big favorite, going to be a big favorite. So, I'm Jonathan Pearce all the way.
Yeah, Jonathan
JSP.
Pearce is
That's his nickname. Sorry, JSP.
I actually hate that that's his nickname. It's so stupid.
JSP,
But anyway,
baby. He's a better wrestler than GSP. So
he's definitely the pick here, and I'm gonna find a way to bet on him. I think the best bet I could place on him, money line is a lot. Let's look at the odds are minus 330.
Yeah.
Those are probably going to continue to get worse if you're betting on him. The best bet for him is probably a minus 3.5. I always talk about the plus 3.5, where you grab a really live underdog, you buy one round on the judges' scorecard, and as long as they win a round on their own, you hit your bet, and those are great bets to place. Minus 3.5 is literally the opposite of that. He can give up a round. So if Jonathan Pearce wins by stoppage, I would get paid. And if he wins by a unanimous 30-27, I would get paid there as well. And at minus 330, the odds haven't dropped on my minus 3.5 bet yet. But I guarantee he'll move from a minus 330 to like a minus 150 or something like that. So all of a sudden, a much more reasonable price. So I will figure out how to bet on Jonathan Pearce. If I do that, it will be at wewantpicks.com/bets. We have 5 different betting partners. BetOnline is the one partner that offers that bet. It'll either be there or I'll parlay him with somebody else who I think is a guaranteed win. Are you going to spend the $9,300 in DraftKings?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's a weird card. There's some weird matchups, some giant favorites, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, Jonathan Pearce is on this card as close to a guaranteed win as you're going to get. So $9,300, I will spend that.
I don't like you saying that. I'll be honest with you. I don't like you saying that.
Well, it's a fist fight, and everybody knows anything can happen in a fist fight. But you got to trust Jonathan Pearce at this point. So we're both on the Jonathan Pearce side. I will figure out how to bet on him. If you go to wewantpicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Sign up, make a deposit, let me know. I send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, literally however you want it. Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have Chad Anheliger versus Jesse Strader. Jesse Strader is 5-2 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a TKO loss to Montel Jackson. Chad Anheliger, 11-5 overall, 5-0 in his last 5, and hasn't lost since 2014. Jesse Strader's coming off a TKO loss to Montel Jackson in his UFC debut, but that was on short notice. And then he was supposed to fight Manny Martinez this past summer, but had to pull out of that. Stylistically, Jesse's always moving forward. He's got a ton of action, a solid pace, and really nice power. He's a traditional boxer, so he does an amazing job ripping the body like 1, 2, 3, and then coming straight up to the head with that 4. And it's really, really nice. That's his favorite combinations. 3 punches to the body, then a big overhand to the head. He isn't just a boxer, though. He's got solid takedowns, and he's a pretty well-rounded guy overall. Chad Anheliger is a very real prospect. His fight style is power striker with solid BJJ. If it gets to the ground, he sets a nice pace there, and then he hits incredibly hard. His takedown defense is okay, but his sweeps and get-up game are really impressive. I've seen him taken down in fights. I've seen him sweep from there. I've seen him get up from there. He's impressive on the ground considering he's a power striker overall. If he gets on top, he will absolutely tee off and let his hands fly. This is a fun striker versus striker matchup. I think Chad is the more well-rounded fighter overall, but I absolutely love how Jesse rips the body, then comes over the top to the head. I just love that combination. And if you go onto YouTube and watch any of his videos, it's in every single one of his fights. The only problem is it's in every single one of his fights. He goes to it often. It can be timed. You know, once you get that one body shot, you know the next 4 punches that are coming your way. And people can capitalize on that. And I think, you know, right now, as the odds sit, Chad is a 3-1 favorite. I think that is very wide. I do think Jesse's live here. I love Jesse's boxing, as I mentioned a few times. But I am going with Chad. Chad is the pick because on their feet, he has just as much power. And I think he's, you know, a very capable striker, even if Jesse's the better striker. But again, his ability to sweep, his ability to get takedowns, defend takedowns, stand up if he is taken down, all of those things I see him, you know, winning the rounds, winning the minutes, and winning the fight. So Chad is my pick. What do you think, Jakey?
Yeah, I agree. I think Chad's the overall better fighter. I actually think that in the wrestling department that Jesse is going to be the better overall wrestler. Chad is known for his guillotine. I think he's got like 5 or 6 guillotine finishes, so that kind of scares me if Jesse is going to go to the wrestling. If you like Jesse's striking, you should like it even more in this fight because over the past year, he's been working with a guy named Sugarfoot Cunningham. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but I guess at late 80s, 90s, this guy was a kickboxer with the record of 49-1-2. So the guy knows what he's doing. He's been working with Jesse. Jesse said he loves having him in the camp. Jesse's the only person I've ever seen with a win over Michael Jackson. He did lose to Marcelo Rojo, who put up a fight of the century versus Kyler Phillips. What are you going to do there? But he does fight through adversity too. There's a couple fights I watched where he was getting just rocked and he just keeps throwing bombs. So it's going to be hard for Chad to put this guy away. But I think he gets the job done. I think Chad's overall better fighter, like you said. The odds are probably a little bit wide. Jesse is kind of a talented guy, but I'm taking Chad all the way in this matchup for sure.
Yeah, I honestly expect this to be one of the more fun fights in the card. And that's the thing with these cards. This card sucks. Like, let's be real. It's not a good card. And especially coming off the heels of an awesome pay-per-view, it's kind of like just a real downer coming into this week. It's early in the day. It's not very good. But these are the types of cards where there's some really fun fights and you really enjoy yourself watching them, even if it's a bunch of random matchups. Chad Anheliger is not worth $9,100. Do you agree? Too many unknowns.
Yeah, I would agree. Jesse's tough,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I'm not spending the $9,100 on him. I may bet on him. Like, he's not a parlay piece because I'm just not confident enough. Because to your point, Jesse is very tough, and Jesse's a phenomenal boxer. And Chad may not be able to time that whole body head and may have some issues with it. Monkey Knife Fight, though, I do think it's an all-out war. I like the more on Monkey Knife Fight.
Yeah, 100% like the more on that for sure.
Yeah, so if you want to play that, go to wewantpicks.com/MKF. Monkey Knife Fight is daily fantasy, super easy, ton of fun. You literally look at the strike line, say more or less, and if you hit it, you can triple your money, 25 times your money if you put a whole bunch of them together. wewantpicks.com/MKF. Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have Diana Belbita versus Gloria de Paula. Diana Belbita, 14-6 overall. She's 3-2 in her last 5, coming off her first UFC win over Hannah Goldie. Gloria de Paula, 5-4 overall, 2-3 in her last 5, 2 losses in a row. Diana Belbita, she's a high-volume, high-pressure striker with decent BJJ and ground and pound. She's well-rounded, constantly moving forward, and she doesn't slow down. She's effective in the clinch, standing, and off her back on the ground. On paper, she has a ton of experience, but her record is a bit hollow. A bunch of local fighters in there, a bunch of losing records in there. So you can look at this graphic and say, whoa, giant experience difference. And yes, there is as far as time inside the actual cage, but quality of opponent should absolutely be factored into that. Technique-wise, though, I mentioned that Diana's very well-rounded and can fight anywhere, but she does get overly excited and have some pretty low fight IQ moments. We've seen her winning stand-up, then shoot a takedown and get submitted when there was literally no reason to take it to the ground. Gloria de Paula is a good striker with solid accuracy and a great clinch. Her striking style is more of a stick and move instead of high pressure, high volume. But if she does get you in the clinch, she will absolutely explode from there and do some real damage. Her lack of experience, though, is a real issue. If you look at that loss to Jin Yoon Frey, 100% lack of experience. If you look at the loss to Cheyenne Bays at the time, now Vlismas, that was actually more of a fluke. It was just a perfect combination hit in the perfect spot. But she was caught.
It was illegal. I mean, let's be honest. It was an illegal strike.
So, it is
I don't know why you're laughing.
I mean, I don't have if we had an editor or a producer, they would float on the screen and we could debate it, but I don't have it in front of me.
It was an illegal strike.
Okay. Well, this is an interesting fight because I think both of these women are actually really good prospects that with a little fine tuning could absolutely do something in the division. They've both had a little bit of a rough start in their UFC careers. Diana Belbita 1-3, Gloria Paula 0-2 in the UFC. So hopefully whoever loses isn't cut because I actually think they're both very talented. They're both technically sound. They're both well-rounded. I think Paula is the much better striker, but Belbita's pressure, experience, and takedowns will be the difference here. So I like Belbita to win, but if Gloria can keep it standing 100% of the time, settle into a rhythm, this could be her fight. But my pick, Diana Belbita. Jacob, how do you feel?
Let me just start by saying that if I see one negative comment in the live chat, one negative comment on the YouTube channel, or one negative tweet about either one of these professional females, you're banned. You're done. You're banned. Both these girls are my girls. They're both fantastic fighters. And for the first time in their UFC careers, they both have the perfect matchup for each other, which sounds weird. You would think somebody would have the advantage, but both these girls want to strike, and both these girls are going to strike. It's going to be a fun night. I think this is going to be, could be one of the fight of the nights. I think for the whole world, it really will be the fight of the night for obvious reasons. But I think as fighting goes, I think it also could be the fight of the night. Both these girls can strike. They're very, very good at it. Gloria Paula, I mentioned her last fight against Cheyenne. It wasn't a legal strike, but it was a weird fluke. She probably would have lost that fight anyway because, that Cheyenne does what she does. But, it was an unfortunate situation for her to get shot or hit with a head like that. But in this matchup, I was trying to find a way. I was going through the rule book. I was looking. I was racking my mind. How can I make both of these girls my lock of the week? Because they both deserve it. They both deserve it. And I was going back and forth, and I was like, do I really want to pick one or do I go somewhere else with it? I gotta go. I think Gloria Paula has been my lock of the week twice and lost both times. I gotta go with her again. Third time's the charm. Gloria Paula has my heart. She is the lock of the week, and I think that she's the better striker in this matchup, and I think she's going to show it. I think she's going to tee off on Diana, get her in some trouble early, and really get after her. So I am Gloria Paula all the way. This is really a pick-up fight. The odds say it's a pick-up fight. Both these girls are so evenly matched in the striking. I just think Gloria's going to be a little bit slicker with it and find those opportunities. So Gloria Paula, lock of the week. Last week, William Knight, it didn't count. Didn't count as a loss because it came in a little bit heavy. So we're still on a streak. We're still streaking. Gloria Paula, you're my lock of the week. Reach out. JT Lines on Twitter. JT Lines on Instagram. You know what it is. So Gloria Paula, here we go.
I just noticed your stupid name on the screen right now.
What do you mean?
Jake DePaula Belbita Rose Clark. Yeah, that's.
I changed it this morning. It's my name. I don't know what you mean to do.
Okay. Are you spending $8,000 on your lock of the week?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I honestly pick your side. Anytime it's evenly matched like this, pick your side. I like Belbita here, $8,200, crazy volume. There's not going to be a stoppage in this fight. 91 to 57 strikes. That one's tricky. 91's such a high number. And I don't think Gloria's going to be the standing target that Hannah Goldie was. But more and more might be the safe play in Monkey Knife Fight. What do you think?
I think it's more and more. I think these girls really get after it. 3 rounds, bloodied. It's going to be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, you're probably right. 91's so high, but you're probably right. I'm not going to have a bet on this, but if you want to place a bet, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Grab yourself a promo, free money everywhere. But let me know after you make a deposit, and I will send you $50 free dollars, 50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. wewantpicks.com/bets. Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have Chaz Skelly versus Mark Striegl. Chaz Skelly, 18-3 overall, 3-1-1 in his last 5, but he has not fought in 2 years. Mark Striegl, 18-3, also 3-1-1 in his last 5. He's coming off a TKO loss to Saeed Nurmagomedov a year ago. Chaz Skelly, I mentioned he's coming off a 2-year layoff, but he has had fights booked since then, pretty much exactly 1 year ago, which triggered a whole bunch of DraftKings debates. But exactly 1 year ago, Chaz Skelly walked into the cage, was ready to go, and his opponent, Jamahal Emmers, never showed up. Apparently, he was having back spasms in the back. So Chaz Skelly went through a full camp, was ready, made the weight, did 100% of things, and didn't actually fight. And I say this because, yes, he hasn't fought in 2 years, but he has been through camps. He has been training. He has been working on that. Technique-wise, Chaz is a really slick jiu-jitsu guy. He loves to mix it up on his feet. If you go back and watch his Sparta kick against Maximo Blanco in the first 3 seconds of that fight, then come here and tell me how absolutely amazing that was. That was an awesome exchange. Chaz Skelly, ton of fun to watch. I wouldn't say he's technical on his feet, but I mean, I guess he's technical on his feet, but he's so fun and just willing to slug it out. We haven't seen it yet in the UFC, but Mark Striegl is a solid wrestler with good forward pressure and chain wrestling style takedowns. On his feet, he has technique, but he never looks comfortable. He's like doing what he's supposed to do, but he always looks uncomfortable, like he just doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be slugging it out. He's always bouncing around. He's got solid footwork, but he never fully commits to entries. And typically, he will blitz forward and then just immediately start chasing a takedown. He does have some power if he connects, and when he times his wrestling well with his strikes, he can be dangerous. I love Chaz Skelly in this matchup. He's technically sound on his feet. You know, I'm a little loose with the word technical there, but he has a willingness to slug it out, and then he just comes in with a wide variety of takedowns. Then on top, solid pressure, constantly looking for a submission. Mark certainly has his own takedowns, and he has been known to shoot early, so he could potentially catch Skelly off guard and get a takedown. But I think Chaz is well prepared for a grappling match, and he absolutely gets this done. I love Chaz Skelly in this matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, we all know what happened when Jamahal Emmers did not make the walk. Chaz Skelly was the lock of the week that week. Word got around. Somehow it made it into the locker room that he was about to fight the lock of the week, literally moments before he was about to walk out, and the guy just quit. He quit. I don't blame him, because lock of the week, you can't beat the lock of the week. I try to say that over and over again. So that's what happened. That's why Chaz Skelly didn't get a fight. I wanted to make a lock of the week again this week. There's a lot of people I wanted to make a lock of the week on this card. But again, huge favorite, as he should be, I think, in this matchup, because I'm all Chaz Skelly as well. The thing that does worry me in this matchup is Chaz Skelly said this is his last fight. And sometimes when it's your last fight, you want to do some wild stuff that you don't normally do. Maybe get a flashy knockout, do something crazy that can get you in some trouble. That's really the only thing that worries me in this fight, because he should be able to dominate from start to finish wherever this fight goes, really. Mark is a good jiu-jitsu guy. He's got 14 submissions and 18 wins. So Chaz could have some trouble finding a finish. But I think he definitely dominates this matchup. I like Chaz Skelly. And, what was his DraftKings? Go back to that.
$8,700.
I might play him in DraftKings. It's amazing.
I think he's 100% worth it in DraftKings. The amount of takedowns he gets, he's under 9,000.
This is going to be tough grappling, though. This is going to be tough grappling.
Yeah, I like him in DraftKings. I think $8,700 is a solid. And
I'm glad you mentioned that Sparta kick, because I literally have in my notes written the original Jorge Masvidal, because it was incredible. He just runs over. I actually watched an interview of him explaining that he was going to try to do like a drop kick, and then like midair realized, I don't really want to end up on my back in this situation. So instead he went with like this Sparta kick, and but knocked him to the ground and choked him out. Anaconda choke him. What was that, like 20 seconds? Something crazy.
It was awesome. Like it was just awesome. It was just cool. It was just cool. What do you think of a bet here? You going to place a bet on Chaz Skelly at all? He might be a wins in. Well, he's already the favorite, so that wouldn't work. What do you think?
Probably not.
No, yeah, because you're worried about.
I mean, that last fight stuff. When you're like saying this is my last fight, I mean, mentally you don't know what's going on. So, but he seems like a good guy and seems like he's still gonna be focused. So,
Yeah, he's already made his Instagram and stuff private, and frankly, he's just a normal person that happens to fight. It's not his entire life, and it's never been his entire life. So I don't think the fact that he's retiring will be too much of a...
The interview, why you say that is the interview after that Spartan kick, they asked him, what are you going to do now? Or like with your time off, he's like, man, I'm just going to shoot some birds and drink some beer. I'm trying to party. So,
he's just a normal dude. Like private Instagram, doesn't even have like a profile picture on his Twitter. He's just a normal guy that happened to fight. And he's been off for 2 years, probably just wants to get one done, get it over with, and move on. So I like Chad Skelly to dominate here. I have to assume, yes, it's been 2 years, and you never know what you're going to get after 2 years off. I have to assume it's more of the same. Even if he didn't improve, he's the exact same person. I like him to win here. Monkey knife fight, I don't know. That's a tough line because so many things could happen. What do you think with monkey knife fight?
I say more.
More. It's probably safer. Yeah, that's probably safe, but I'm not going to touch it because we could see a submission from Chad Skelly, or we could see Mark Striegl just wrestle like an animal and just stay on top the whole time because he is a wrestler. We haven't seen the UFC, but he is a wrestler.
Yeah, I think this might be the where they just kind of stare at each other. Two grapplers and they end up striking. That's my prediction.
Could be. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm not going to touch monkey knife fight, but if you want $50 free, wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know. I'll send you $50. You sign up with all 5 of them, I'll send you $250. It's literally that simple. Check with the people in the live chat, in the comments. I've been paying people out 4 months. wewantpicks.com/bets. Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, as I was doing this intro, I just immediately looked at you on my screen to see what creep thing you were doing.
We're all professionals. Let's clean it up and be professionals. Come on.
Sure, we are all professionals.
Come on.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have Jessica Rose Clark versus Stephanie Egger. Jessica Rose Clark, 11-6 overall, coming off of that really nice grappling win. Stephanie Egger, 6-2 overall, 4-1 in her last 5, with the only loss being to Tracy Cortez. Jessica Rose Clark is coming off of that solid win over Jocelyn Edwards, where she had 5 takedowns. She's a really good striker. She has legit power. She's more of a boxer than a kickboxer, but she can be deadly from anywhere on her feet. She can be nasty inside the pocket. She throws with bad intentions. And until her last fight, we really hadn't seen much wrestling out of her, but it is very clear that she's a capable grappler. She's comfortable in those exchanges, and she's comfortable grappling. Stephanie Egger has solid power, and sloppy but effective takedowns. She marches forward. She looks to tie you up and work from there. She will typically hold you against the cage or like try to muscle you to the ground. If Stephanie can get into a rhythm with her striking and keep Jessica at bay, avoiding the takedowns, I could see her winning. I can see her winning by playing the outside, maybe hold her against the cage every now and then. I can see Stephanie winning. If you watch Stephanie Egger's fight against Tracy Cortez, she was basically dominated with just traditional lower your level, take a shot wrestling, which we now know that Jessica Rose Clark has in her back pocket. It's a hard call to make. I do think these odds are wide. I do not think Jessica Rose Clark should be a minus 190 favorite, a 2-1 favorite. I don't think she should be. I do think that if she comes out, she wrestles first, follows that Tracy Cortez game plan, but mixes in some of that striking, she could look like that 2-1 favorite. So I like Jessica to win. She's got more tools to win. But the reality is Stephanie Egger is super live. Her striking is very, very good. And she's much better than this 2-1 underdog status. So this is probably a perfect plus 3.5 bet situation for Stephanie Egger. I think it goes to a decision. I think Stephanie Egger can absolutely take one round. And that's a bet that you could probably cash. wewantpicks.com/bets. We have 5 partners. BetOnline is the one partner that allows you to buy a round on the judge's scorecard. And that might be a bet worth making on Stephanie Egger. Jakey boy, but again, Clark is my pick. Jakey boy, what are your thoughts?
Jesse Jess, this message is for you. I hope you had a great Valentine's Day. You didn't show up to dinner. I sent you those reservations, but I assume something came up. It's fine. I know it's fight week. You got a lot going on. I did sit there for 2 hours, just so you know. But it's fine. It's fine. You are my number one. You know you're my number one, and that's why you're gonna win this fight. Jesse Rose Clark is gonna win this fight. Jess. Just copy and paste the Tracy Cortez game plan. I'm glad you brought that up. What worries me in this fight is Jess. She did grapple in her last matchup. We hadn't seen that. And it was like the most boring fight in the world. And she got absolutely thrashed online. I was in there just trying to defend her. Leave her alone. Leave her. Don't talk to her like that. But it was a boring fight. And the way that everyone reacted to that fight, and she was like, you know what? I'm sorry. That's the first time I wrestled. I was just trying to control positions. I wanted to win the fight. I'm worried that she's going to go away from the grappling now. She's like, I worked my whole camp in wrestling. That's what worked. I won the fight. But, with all that blowback, sometimes it can get in your mind and you don't want to be that boring fighter, right? So I'm worried that she's not going to go to the grappling. Even if it goes to the striking, I think that she can still win the fight because that is what she's originally known for, is a kickboxer. So take the Tracy Cortez game plan. Just do that. Get her to the ground because Stephanie Egger is somebody with good judo. I think she was like a judo gold medalist and some whatever. I think she won some grappling match, but she's kind of a judo person that doesn't really know how to wrestle and isn't really good at jiu-jitsu. So I think you just take the Tracy Cortez game plan. By the way, Tracy, hey, how you doing? Copy and paste that. Get her to the ground. Dominate the fight. So there is one tidbit I will add on this, and this is just I'm sharing this as information. I'm not trying to be weird. I respect these women and what they do. What you got to listen for in this fight is if you hear Jessica Rose Clark yelling out alfalfa. Okay, that's a code word. What that means is it means that there's some wardrobe malfunctions happening. So if you are not paying attention to the fight, you hear alfalfa being yelled from Jessica Rose Clark's corner, it might be time to watch the fight. Something crazy might happen. That's my advice to you guys. And Jessica Rose Clark, Jess is my pick.
What?
That was their code word. Apparently, the Venom kits are not very supportive in of various avenues and areas. So her corner had a code word to if something were to happen wardrobely with the Venom kits, she would hear alfalfa and she would know, okay, something is failing. So that's what you got to listen for.
Super useful.
I mean, that's got to be the most useful information that the chat has ever heard.
Are you?
And I mean that. I'm not trying to be I'm just sharing. I'm the messenger. So I'm just the messenger.
Okay. Well, are you going to put Jessica Rose Clark in your DraftKings lineup?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
$8,600 is interesting because, like I said, I think this is so much closer than the odds. So much closer than the odds. So I do like Jessica to win.
Where is Stephanie better? Judo.
Striking.
No.
I think she's the better striker. Absolutely. If she manages range,
she's judo.
If she manages range, I would argue she's the better striker.
You're being disrespectful.
Okay. Anyway, so I do think the odds are wide. $8,600 if she wrestles is absolutely worth every penny. Absolutely. If she doesn't, could be a little tricky. Monkey knife fight, probably more. I think this is the decision. I think it's back and forth. I think both of these women just let their hands fly. What do you think?
Yeah, I keep thinking I'm saying more at every fight, but yeah, I think this is more as well.
Yeah, I think this card may be rife with decisions. So yeah, that's probably more. And again, I do like the plus 3.5 bet on Stephanie Egger because I think she can take a round. I really do think she can take a round, especially if we don't know if Jessica's going to wrestle or not. So Jessica may come out round one striking, lose that round, then say, okay, all right, let me go to some wrestling and then take over from there. So we'll see. But I'm on Jessica Rose Clark.
Well, get off of her.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have David Onama versus Gabriel Benítez. Gabriel Benítez is 22-9 overall. He's 2-3 in his last 5, coming off a TKO loss to Billy Quarantillo. David Onama's 8-1 overall. He's 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a loss to Mason Jones, where he was taken down 8 times. Gabriel Benítez is a very good kickboxer and specifically has great kicks. And we've talked about this before. The rumors are flying that he's the heaviest kicker at American Kickboxing Academy, because I think it was Javier Mendez was telling everybody that. And he included Cain Velasquez in that. He said, yes, Gabriel Benítez kicks harder than Cain Velasquez does, which is crazy because he's 145 pounds and Cain Velasquez is 245 pounds. It was a solid kicker. All of that aside, he does have great movement. He picks his shots really well, and he does have very real power. His takedown defense is only at 56%, and he may need it in this matchup. He may not, because David Onama is a solid kickboxer. He likes to plot forward. He likes to control the pace. Typically, he doesn't have incredibly high volume, but he is effective. He has had fights, though, like with Sam Hernandez, where he just lets it all go and absolutely lets his hands fly. He's always moving forward. He's slowly cutting off angles, which helps keeps his opponent on their heels. He's got a really long jab. He's constantly throwing it out there, but he does tend to throw just one or two punches at a time, unless he's in a clinch where he's busy with knees and elbows. You can back him up with volume, and you can keep him out of a rhythm. He can work in some takedowns if needed, and that is a path that we've seen Gabriel Benítez fall under. This should be a really fun fight. We've got two solid strikers who are willing to slug it out. I think Onama has speed, power, and the versatility advantage, but Benítez will have the experience and the grappling advantage. If you dig into Onama's fight, you'll see that even outside of his loss to Mason Jones, where he was taken down 8 times, he does struggle with the grappling, and he gets taken down often. But if he initiates a takedown, he can get that and stay on top. He just can't seem to defend him and can't seem to get up. Onama is a slight favorite here, and I think those odds are correct, because if they get into a slugfest, I think Onama wins a slugfest for sure. But if Gabriel works in his grappling, like he did against Humberto Bandenay, he should win. But the reality is that he does have the grappling tools, but he doesn't use them. He only has one single takedown in the UFC, and I had 11 fights. So one takedown in 11 fights in the UFC. So I'm going with Onama to win a kickboxing match, but this could get weird with grappling, because grappling is a path to beat both of these men. We've seen both of them on their backs lose grappling fights, and it will be interesting to see if David Onama goes to some grappling or if Gabriel Benítez needs to, because Onama just hits so hard. Jakey boy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is another guy that I wanted to pick as my lock of the week, Mowgli. A big fan of Mowgli. I was going to go back to my Mexican fighters because they have not failed me yet. Then I started watching David. I'm like, damn, this guy is good. For Mowgli, I think you mentioned it, the leg kicks, the kicks in general, but I think the leg kicks and the experience. David, to me, is a little flat-footed. He's still a little raw. And he doesn't use a lot of head movement. A lot of it's just kind of a high guard where he's relying on that guard. And I think Mowgli's experience, he can get in there. I would get out of the first round. If you're Gabriel, just let him do his wild stuff, because I think he's going to come up forward and try to put Mowgli out in the first round. If you're Benítez, just try to get out of the first round and then use your experience, get him up against a cage, kind of wear him down. But in this matchup, I think I'm David all the way. I think he's just the better striker. I think he is a striking matchup, and he's going to have the power and the precision. And that fight that he lost, that was his second fight in 2 weeks. It wasn't like a 2-week notice. He had just fought 2 weeks before, came in and went to a decision. He hung tough in that matchup. He was kind of getting dominated, but he didn't give up. I like the toughness in that matchup, and I think he's going to show what he's actually about in this fight. I think it's tailor-made for him, and I think he wins a fight. So I'm David Onama all the way.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I mean, look at the worlds of difference in experience between these two guys. $8,400. If you think there's a stoppage, and Gabriel has struggled with longevity in fights recently, so if you think there's a stoppage, $8,400 is absolutely worth it. What do you think of the odds? You gonna place a bet?
Yeah, I could see. I'd probably place a money line on David. I like him.
Yeah, the odds aren't that crazy where it could definitely be worth it. And honestly, David may be a wins inside the distance decision, no action guy. You'll get worse odds than this, but he is durable, and that could account for any any Gabriel Benítez, veteran savvy, right? Because Gabriel could pull this out. I mean, we just saw Douglas Silva de Andrade do that last weekend, right? Just veteran savvy, toughness, come from behind and make something happen. And Gabriel could do the same thing. I also like Onama. I hate this strike line, though. I absolutely hate this strike line. I am not touching the monkey knife fight line. What do you think?
I definitely feel like it's a less. That 56 kind of throws me off. I don't like that number.
Yeah, it's definitely less on Onama. 56 is so smack dab in the middle. It's a hard call to make. If you want 50 free bucks, that's an easy call to make. Go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know after you do, and I'll send you 50 bucks. How about those plug transitions? They're getting smoother and smoother.
Well, you got to edit that out.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have Joaquin Buckley fighting Abdul Razak Alhassan. This fight has been rebooked from UFC Vegas 46 because Alhassan had to pull out. Joaquin Buckley is 13-4 overall, 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a TKO win just a few months ago. Abdul Razak Alhassan, 11-4 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, coming off an awesome KO win over Alessio Chirico. Joaquin Buckley, the proud owner of the greatest knockout in the history of the UFC, and there's been some amazing knockouts, and I know, but there will not be one better than what we saw with Joaquin Buckley. He's a short, thick guy with big power, and he comes in hot. And what's funny is I said that, when I did my early breakdown for Quick Picks, and somebody commented, he's 5'10", please, for all of us at 5'10", stop calling Joaquin Buckley short. So I guess he's not short, Jacob, which means you're not short. But Joaquin Buckley comes in hot. He has good forward movement, solid pressure. He doesn't really cut angles very well. He just comes straight on. But he does have real speed, real power. He does a great job ripping the body, coming to the head, and he throws with intent. He has a performance of the night bonus in every single win. Every win that he has in the UFC has a performance of the night bonus on it. Abdul Razak Alhassan is a very powerful puncher. He does tend to headhunt while looking for a knockout. He is a high-level judo guy, but he just fell in love with his striking, so he just doesn't use his judo anymore. He loves his power, so he's just headhunting now. Instead of being a well-rounded judo guy, he's just a headhunting power striker. And that's a shame because he's such a talented grappler that if he mixed it in more and he threatened with those throws, he would be very, very good and a really hard puzzle to solve because now you're worrying about defending throws and you're worried about being knocked out. He's an incredibly talented guy. He has power in his hands. And as we saw against Chirico, he has a solid path to victory here with that power. He's got to go back to his roots, though. I think he's got to mix in some judo, get Buckley thinking, and not just let Buckley come forward throwing big, heavy shots. The most interesting thing about the statistics, if we look at the stats, is that Buckley has a horrific, let me move here. Buckley has a horrific takedown accuracy of 16%. And he has attempted takedowns in every single UFC fight except one. And it makes no sense whatsoever because he's such a nasty striker and he's winning those striking exchanges. There's literally no reason to shoot, but he still shoots. He still looks for those takedowns, and it doesn't make sense that he does that. And if you look at the majority of Alhassan's losses, he was taken down and ridden out. I don't think that's a path for Buckley. I don't think that's a factor. It's just an interesting dynamic, and it just makes no sense that Joaquin Buckley's looking for takedowns. And earlier in the week, I was much higher on Buckley to win this fight, and I'm just so split now. So I think Buckley is the better striker. I think he hits harder. I think he's the more athletic guy. But Alhassan is just so... He's just always there, throwing hard, looking for the head that he could connect. So I'm still going to lean Buckley here as the pick. I already have a bet on the round line. I did the over 1.5 because I don't think this is immediate fireworks. I really don't. But Buckley's the pick, and this is a much closer fight, I think. Well, what are the odds? The odds are probably correct. But I'm a little torn here. I think Razak is a very live underdog, but I'm going Buckley. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is going to be fireworks from the beginning. And if they exchange from the beginning, I'll take the guy that's got 11 first-round finishes. The Alhassan has 11 wins. Every single one is a first-round finish. I think they get after it early. I think if Buckley is wise, he will go to the grappling and try to wear down Alhassan because obviously if you get him out of the first round, he's going to lose. So I think this is fireworks from the beginning, and I'll take the guy that's got 11 first-round finishes. I think it's just as easy as that.
Yeah, I mean, I may, like, when it comes down to it, I may do a money line bet on Alhassan because he is a very live underdog. Joaquin Buckley, it's hard to watch those fights and not be like, wow, that is a scary, powerful, talented guy. Because Razak could be gun shy at times, only headhunts, so he does have that power, but he almost likes it a little too much. And look at a negative striking differential, 3.7 strikes landed to 4.23 received. And Joaquin also, I mean, he's basically even.
Well, that's because he lands like 2 punches when he wins, and when he loses, he gets beat on. So that's why the numbers are so weird.
I get it, but the reality is he headhunts, and yes, he has insane power, and if he connects, it's a problem. So we'll see what happens. I personally think it is over 1.5 rounds. So I placed that bet, and it was minus money, like minus 110 or something like that. Whoever you like have in your DraftKings. I think this definitely wins. I think there's a stoppage here. I don't think it's early, but there is a stoppage here. You agree? You can have Alhassan in your DraftKings and somebody.
Oh, yeah, because he's going to get a first-round finish, so that seems like pretty easy.
And if you
That's
like
an
Buckley,
easy decision. That seems like a very easy decision.
And if you like Buckley, he should be in there too. If you remember last week with Monkey Knife Fight, I said put the co-main event in Knockout Kings. Monkey Knife Fight does a game in Knockout Kings. You pick any 3 fighters on the entire card, and if one of them wins by KO or TKO, you get paid. I said just double up the co-main event, and I did, and I got paid. I think this is the fight. Double this fight up in Knockout Kings, max out the bet, pick any other fighter that you think can win by stoppage, and bang, you'll get paid. It's free money. We'll talk about that in the specific Monkey Knife Fight video.
I would rather double up the main, I think. But you do you.
Yeah, and Johnny Walker's coming off the boring. Well, we'll talk about the main when we get to the main. You want 50 free bucks? wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. Let me know after you do, and I'll send you 50 free bucks. That simple. 50 free dollars. Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have Jim Miller versus Nikolas Motta. Jim Miller, 33-16 overall. Nikolas Motta, 12-3 overall. Jim Miller, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off a great KO win over Eric Gonzalez. Nikolas Motta, 4-1 in his last 5, fresh off his Contender Series win. This fight has been rebooked. It was in September originally when Jim Miller had to pull out because of COVID, and now we're getting it in February. And Jim Miller's a legend at this point. He has multiple records, and we saw a ton of them because Andrei Arlovski fought at UFC 271, so they kept showing the records for most amount of fights and all that. And Jim Miller had every single run of those records or was close to. He's been around forever. He's got all the veteran savvy that you could ever want or expect. He's crazy tough. He's a very good grappler. He's got clean boxing, but his takedowns are just okay. He is older. His chin is starting to go. The speed is starting to go. The durability is going. I'm not sure how many fights he has left in the UFC, but in his last outing, they gave him a middle-of-the-road prospect in Eric Gonzalez, and he came in there, and he lit him up. He beat him on his feet. He won that fight, and I think the UFC is using Jim Miller to see how good are these prospects. How good are they? What should we do with these prospects? Let's give him the Jim Miller while he's still around. Nikolas Motta is a very good prospect. He's a good striker. He's explosive. He's very athletic. He moves well. His speed and diversity are rock solid. He also has rock solid takedown defense, which will be important in this matchup because he doesn't have much to offer if he's on his back on the ground. And obviously Jim Miller, very accomplished black belt. I love Jim Miller, but I love Motta in this matchup. Like, yes, Jim is coming off that knockout win over a young prospect, but this is a different young prospect. Motta is incredibly explosive. He's got great power. He can be patient when he needs to, and he's athletic enough to scramble, and Jim Miller's takedowns aren't good enough to just, guarantee that this will go to the ground. Jim has a very clear advantage on the ground, but he's going to need to take some damage to get there. And at this point in his career, I just don't know how much damage he can take to get it to the ground. So all of the people who fade Contender Series guys, because that's just some weird thing that people do, I beg you to fade Nikolas Motta. I want this line to close. I will bet Nikolas Motta if he gets closer to minus 150, because I just think I love Jim Miller. This is just not the matchup for him. What do you think, Jakey?
The only people to finish Jim Miller: Nate Diaz, Cowboy, Michael Chiesa, Dan Hooker, Charles Oliveira, and now Nikolas Motta. I think Nikolas Motta is going to finish.
Here we go.
I think he's going to finish. Listen, Nikolas Motta has a highlight film that you can watch on YouTube. I think if you YouTube his name, it's like the first thing that shows up. If you watch that, I feel like he is like the best fighter in the entire world. Just going to run through the division. He's going to bring Khabib out of retirement, knock that dude out as well. The highlight film is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So I'm Nikolas Motta all the way. The guy throws wild. He's heavy hands. Jim Miller's got to use his experience, I guess. But, I'm Nikolas Motta all the way. Rest in peace, Jim Miller. This might be his last fight, honestly.
Yeah, I feel bad because I love Jim Miller. I don't know if it's that much, that extreme. But, I mean, look at this. 43% takedown accuracy. And that's like, that's less than half. And that's over an enormous amount of fights, which is troubling because that is his path to victory, and less than half of the time you're successful at it. So it's that is troubling for Jim. But if we go to the DraftKings prices, $8,500. I don't know because he probably will win by stoppage. But Jim Miller is still Jim Miller, and there could just be a touch of Andrei Arlovski hanging out in there. You're gonna spend the 85.
I probably am going to spend the $8,500. I'm probably going to play an inside the distance bet on Motta.
I like Motta wins inside the distance decision, no action, but he's already a favorite. Those odds will be stupid and not worth taking. But, because, listen, it's possible that a lot of people, I actually picked Jim Miller to win his last fight. And a lot of people were very anti-Jim Miller because of his age and everything else. Jim
doesn't really get finished. I think the inside the distance odds, I don't know what they are, but they're probably going to be like +2 something. I'll take those.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be an interesting fight because if Jim Miller wins this, then he's turning into an Andrei Arlovski where he's just having a late career resurgence when it just looked like he was done. But should be an interesting matchup. I like the more here. I think Nikolas Motta wins, but I don't think it's as early of a stoppage as you do. Sounds like you'd go less.
No, I'm still going more. I think he's not going to finish him in the first minute. I mean, it is Jim Miller, but I think he eventually just catches him. Maybe late second. I'm going to say late second, overhand right.
Okay. I was the way you said that
overhand right. I know. I was gonna go even more into details. Then he's gonna mount him and then ground and pound, transition to an arm bar. But then I was like, we'll just let it go.
Yeah, like the inflection of your voice, so there was more words coming.
Yeah, there was supposed to be more, and then I just kind of gave up.
Well,
it's almost vacation mode for me. So
we're both on Nikolas Motta, but if you want 50 free bucks from me, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with one of our betting partners. Let me know after you do. I'll send you 50 bucks as a thank you for supporting us and our partners. And speaking of thank you very much, Taji K. Bay. Very appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have my buddy Parker Porter fighting Alan Baudot. Parker Porter, 12-6 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off of 2 solid wins in a row, and the lone loss was a short notice loss to Chris Daukaus. Alan Baudot, 8-2 overall, 2-1 in his last 5, coming off 2 KO losses in a row. I'm going to start this just like I did earlier with the quick picks. I'm going to start it by letting everybody know I am personal friends with Parker Porter. I'm going to try to be objective here, but I'm literally friends with him in real life. So, do what you want with that. I'm going to try to be objective in this breakdown. And Parker has had a solid run so far in the UFC. He debuted on short notice out of camp, and he was a few weeks into having a new baby. So he was a father he already had 2 kids, but it's his 3rd kid on 3 weeks old, on the couch, took a short notice fight to go into the UFC. So those are the circumstances going into his fight with Chris Daukaus. And if you ignore the outcome, which was a stoppage in the first round, Parker did have some moments in some of those exchanges, and all it took was a full camp to show that. His next 2 fights, he set the significant strike record and then broke his own significant strike record in 2 solid strike-first matchups. But he's also worked in some takedowns, and Parker Porter is a good, well-rounded fighter. He's got fantastic footwork, solid power, underrated wrestling, and he is very tough, and he has a willingness to engage in a firefight, but he can wrestle, he can grapple, he can do all those things as well. Alan Baudot is an okay striker. He's never seen the judges' scorecards. He is teammates with Striegl Gahn, so I have to imagine that he's been in camp for a little while now, helping Striegl in that title fight last month. He'll come out, plant his feet, and just absolutely let his hands fly. He will throw anything from any angle, and that includes spinning attacks. He has legit power, and he will risk getting knocked out to chase his own knockout. His takedown defense is just okay, but once he get on the ground, he has a clear disadvantage against almost anybody that he's fighting. The odds makers have Parker at -250 here. I totally understand why. He's the more technical striker. He's got volume. He can wrestle. He can grapple. He's incredibly tough. And he does have cardio for 3 full rounds. We've seen that in his last 2 fights. But Allen is obviously live. He's got insane power. He's putting people out in the first round. 8 people he's putting out. And he will be live, and he is willing to get hit. And we've seen Parker come forward, throw volume, and Allen may just stand there, take that, and just fire back. So I think Parker's the more technical striker, but I do think he should mix in the wrestling, work the takedowns, because it is such a ridiculous, clear advantage once it gets to the ground. So obviously, I'm going with Parker Porter for the pick, but the reality is that Alan Baudot is live in any fight he's ever been in. So I think Parker should wrestle. What do you think, Jacob DePaula, Belbita Rose Clark?
I think that Parker should dominate this fight. The thing that worries me the most is I saw an interview where he said he's going to get his first UFC finish in this fight. I think that is going to be a problem if he's trying to chase finishes versus Allen, because this guy, as you mentioned, will just drop his hands and go. If you want to, he's like Tai Tuivasa, right? He's like, if you want to bang, we can bang, and he's going to usually come out on top of those. In the distance striking, he's pretty simple. From the fights I watch, it's usually just a jab and then an overhand. And then a jab and an overhand. Sometimes he has that looping jab with a little power behind it, but mostly it's just jab overhand. And then jab overhand. And I think Parker can easily dominate that matchup if it's a distance fight. But if he starts getting aggressive, he starts getting in the pocket, he could find himself in some trouble. I agree. I would go to the wrestling. I don't think he needs to go to it exclusively in this matchup. But that probably is his easiest path. But I think if he just fights the way he's been fighting, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, Parker. He's just you win. You're winning, man. Just win the fights. You don't need to chase finishes. Just keep on winning, keep collecting those checks, and keep moving up in the rankings. So that would be my advice for Parker. But I think that this matchup is somewhat tailor-made for him to win. So I definitely see why the odds are -250.
Yeah, he's just got to be weary of that power, because obviously it is very real power. $8,900 in DraftKings. You know, listen, he has scored well on DraftKings in the past because he has such insane volume and he mixes in takedowns. So it could potentially, be a high-scoring matchup for Parker Porter. $8,900 is a lot of money to spend. So that's your choice. If you think he's going to mix in the wrestling and get a stoppage, great. Alan Baudot, I don't think he wins, but when he does win, it's by stoppage. So 73 could absolutely be worth it. But obviously, I'm not going to do that. The monkey knife by strike line is interesting because, Parker's is high because obviously we've seen his last 2 fights. It's insane. His volume is insane. What do you think of that? I think it's less. I don't know about Allen, but I think Parker's less. What do you think?
I think if you think Parker Porter is going to win, it's a more. If you think he's going to lose, it's a less. That's how I would play it.
I agree, but if he takes it down, he could absolutely submit it. I've rolled with Parker many times. He's very good at jiu-jitsu, and then he's been working his wrestling for a while now. So Parker's legit capable grappler, And Allen is like a fish out of water on the ground. Like, just did not look good anytime I've seen him on the ground. But your logic is sound, and that's probably the way to go, because especially if you just look at his body of work, that's what you have there. So it may be a less more, frankly, if Parker mixes in some wrestling, and Baudot is just going to swing wild and let his hands go. But anyway, I'll be rooting for my buddy. I'm going to bet on him. He's my friend. I don't care what the odds are, so that's going to happen. And if you want to bet on him or anybody else, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know when you do, and I'll send you $50. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, however you want it. Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Kyle Daukaus versus Jamie Pickett. Kyle Daukaus is 10-2. He's 2-2-1 in his last 5, and that no contest was a no contest with that headbutt against Kevin Holland. Jamie Pickett is 13-6 overall. He's 3-2 in his last 5, coming off a solid win just 3 weeks ago. And Kyle Daukaus has had a weird run as of late. He had the no contest headbutt with Kevin Holland in October. Then the rematch was booked for November. Kevin pulled out of that. So then they brought in Roman Dolidze, who pulled out of that. Then he was rebooked on this card against Julian Marquez, and Julian pulled out. So now Kyle Daukaus is fighting Jamie Pickett, and this poor guy has had, the last few months have been crazy for him, who he's going to fight and when he's going to fight. Kyle Daukaus is the younger brother of heavyweight striker Chris Daukaus, but they fight nothing alike. Kyle Daukaus is a very good grappler with solid clinch work and okay boxing. He averages almost 2 takedowns per fight, but he has a very low 27% takedown accuracy, which is a concern because in this fight, he probably needs to get Jamie Pickett to the ground. Jamie Pickett's a very big guy who normally has a massive reach advantage, but this will be the second fight in a row where he has an opponent that's pretty similarly sized as him. He uses his length to manage the range and to keep people at bay. If you look at the stats, he has a 1-2 strike differential, so he has hit twice as many times as he hits other people, and that's because he gets gun shy and he waits and he doesn't just always let his hands go. If Jamie manages the range and then engages with takedowns, which we've seen him use in fights like against Staropoli and in Chukwu, then I can see him having a ton of success here. But Daukaus is a different fighter on the ground than any opponent that Jamie Pickett has had so far. And I'm torn here because I think Jamie's the better striker, but his unwillingness to engage sometimes that can be a problem, right? He can be on the wrong end of exchanges, and you've seen that with his negative striking differential. And all that does, his gun shy, all that does is give Kyle Daukaus more time to set up takedowns, right? He's not worried about getting hit in the face while coming in for a takedown, so he's going to try more takedowns. If Jamie Pickett lets his hands go and touches them up, all of a sudden it's a different game. If we go back 3 weeks and we watch Jamie beat up Joseph Holmes, he had takedowns, he had decent volume, he looked great. And if that Jamie fights Kyle Daukaus, he absolutely beats Kyle Daukaus. So I have to assume that the Jamie Pickett we saw 3 weeks ago is going to be pretty close to the Jamie Pickett we're going to see this weekend. So I'm going with Jamie Pickett, but Kyle Daukaus, solid grappler, and we'll see what happens. What do you think?
Yeah, this might sound stupid, but I think that Jamie Pickett in this matchup either looks incredible, like comes out, presses forward. He mentioned, the confidence of finally getting that first UFC win. He feels a little bit more free now. Maybe he comes in, presses Kyle Daukaus, gets like a wild first round knockout, something crazy happens, or he's going to get taken down and just absolutely dominate. I don't think there's a much middle ground in this. I don't think it's a back and forth fight. I think Kyle either gets starched or he comes out and dominates. You mentioned he's got 2 losses. Both those guys are kind of people that could neutralize the grappling Kyle Daukaus. With Phil Hawes, also a great wrestler. Brendan Allen, also a very, very good grappler. So those kinds of guys kind of could neutralize what Kyle Daukaus wanted to do, and he couldn't really do the things that he wants to do, which is get the takedown, get you on the ground, and try to submit you. In this matchup, I like Jamie Pickett. I think he is coming back. I think he is more confident, and he is getting better as a fighter. I don't think the takedowns are going to be easy, but I think eventually Kyle Daukaus gets to the ground. I think the first takedown he gets, he's able to get the back, and if it's not late in the round to where the round ends, I think he's going to be able to do what he does, and that's submit people. So I like Kyle Daukaus' matchup, but I don't love it enough to like. I'm probably not gonna play DraftKings. I'm not gonna bet on him because Jamie Pickett could come out and look incredible, stuff a takedown, really get after him with some aggression. So I'm picking Kyle Daukaus in the matchup, but I'm not 100% sold on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is. I feel like Kyle is just always ready to get hit. He just always seems hittable, and he's working really hard for those takedowns. And there's a lot going on there. And like I said, if I didn't just see Jamie Pickett look really good against Joseph Holmes, he wouldn't be my pick. But he looked good in that fight, and that was pretty recent. So I imagine the quick turnaround is something that he's going to take some of the success with him. We have no DraftKings pricing, which is very odd because this has been the co-main event for longer than some of the other fights that DraftKings put numbers on. But we do have a strike line with Monkey Knife Fight. What do you think of this strike line?
I'm gonna say less. I think Kyle gets a takedown early and really controls the matchup.
Okay. So you don't necessarily think he's going to stop him. You just think there's going to be on the ground for so long. There's not going to be.
Oh, I think if he gets him to the ground, he's going to stop him.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with that strike line because people were trashing me in the live chat saying to say Jamie Pickett's the better striker is crazy. I don't know why everybody thinks Kyle Daukaus' striking is so good. I just don't see it. It's a bit sloppy, a bit reactive, a little slow. It's certainly
I'll back
technical.
you up on that too. I'll back you up on that too. I don't see it either. Because there's people in the chat like, oh, Jamie Pickett's a better. Yeah, of course he's a better striker than Kyle Daukaus.
Yeah, no, I'm getting all bold. You're crazy for saying that, Alan. Anyway, Jamie Pickett is the pick. We don't have DraftKings prices, and if you want $50 free, go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let us know after you do, and I'll send you $50. Next up, at UFC Vegas 48, we have the new main event. We've got Johnny Walker fighting Jamahal Hill. Johnny Walker, 18-6 overall, 2-3 in his last 5, and he's coming off of that boring decision loss to Thiago Moreta Santos. Jamahal Hill, 9-1 overall, 3-1-1 in his last 5, and he's coming off that big win over Jimmy Crute, where he was a sizable underdog, and he just put that dude's lights out. This is a new main event. As you all know, Dos Anjos Fiziev has been moved to UFC 272 because of visa issues. But don't forget, this was the co-main, which was 3 rounds. Now it is 5 rounds. They've added 2 full rounds. So that absolutely should be a factor. You decide what side you think that favors. But, adding 2 rounds is, that matters quite a bit. Johnny Walker is very big for light heavyweight. He's 6'6", but not only is he massive, he's fast, powerful, athletic. He can be wild. He's fun to watch. He gets very creative with his striking. He will spin. He will jump. He'll smile and have a good time the whole time. He's very unorthodox and very dangerous because all of his crazy striking techniques have legitimate power behind them. We have only seen him get put out once in the UFC. I saw somebody commented on an early breakdown saying Johnny Walker has no chin. He got knocked out one time by Corey Anderson in what was
he has no chin.
a perfectly landed punch. He has a chin. He just went 5 rounds with Thiago Santos. Jamahal Hill is a tall, rangy striker who comes forward and picks his shots really well. He has an incredible 7-3 striking differential, so he almost doubles his opponent's strikes. He's primarily a boxer, but he does have solid leg kicks. He typically doesn't have incredible power, but he was able to put Jimmy Crute straight out. And I say he doesn't have incredible power, and you'll say, oh, but look how many stoppages he has. But if you look at those stoppages, they're not just straight up lights out. It's typically his accuracy is so solid. He's got good volume. He'll get you up against the cage and just let it go, and then the ref steps in. But Jamahal Hill, a very, very good striker. And this is a tough pick. And the reason it's a tough pick is because of Johnny Walker's last fight against Thiago Santos. He's supposed to be this high-volume guy with crazy variety, doing crazy things, tons of power. And in that fight, he was just sort of dancing around. It was a weird fight. And he just didn't do what you expect him to do. And he's moved to Conor McGregor's gym, and there's a million people criticizing the coaching in that. There's an entire video on YouTube with like 50,000 views, literally breaking down the nonsense that John Kavanagh was telling Johnny Walker in the 5th round. Everybody said it was 2-2, and he's being told feint when he needed to pick up the pace and things like that. There's a whole video somebody else made dedicated to that if you want to check that out. My point is, Johnny Walker's a very raw, real talent. He's insanely athletic. He's massive. He hits hard, and he can do things that nobody else in the division can do. But he has been a bit of a, he's bounced around between gyms. He's been a bit of a nomad, and I think he's still trying to find himself and who is he. And since that Corey Anderson loss, he has not looked the same. He has not. But I still am going to go with Johnny Walker here. A ton of people disagree with me. Everybody thinks Jamahal Hill is a guarantee. The reality is that dude has 10 fights. 10 fights. Johnny Walker has more than double the fights. Johnny Walker has fought 10 times the level of competition. He has knocked out people that Jamahal Hill could never even dream of fighting yet at this point in his career. I like Johnny Walker to win, but I'm a little nervous because I just don't know if I can trust him to be who he is. Just be who you are. Do the crazy stuff. Keep it busy. Keep it fast. Stay in Jamahal Hill's face. Do not play that outside game that you played with Thiago Santos because Jamahal Hill will piece you up. So I like Johnny Walker here. I totally understand why people think I'm an idiot, but you can't just look at his last 2 fights and go with that. You got to look at the body of his career and hope that the last couple of fights were, just him not being him. Jacob, what do you think?
Yeah, Johnny Walker is one of those guys, just like Michelle Peredo, to where they're wild, and it's like everyone's like, you gotta tame them, you gotta bring them back in, you gotta rope it, you gotta bring them back in, and then once they do that, they lose who they are. You've seen Michelle Peredo at times try to be like the normal guy. Michelle Peredo is who he is, right? Johnny Walker is another one of those fighters that's what they do. That's why they had success early, because they do the wild stuff. They come at wild angles. People aren't prepared. You can't train for somebody that does the stuff that Michelle Peredo does, that does what Johnny Walker does. When you start acting normal, now you're just another fighter. You're just a normal fighter, and your striking isn't good enough to be a normal fighter. You need to do that weird stuff. You need to come at weird angles. Hands low, do wild stuff, flying knees, whatever it is. That's what throws your opponents off. Johnny Walker is not skilled enough to stand in front of people and just outstrike them, especially someone like Jamahal Hill, and that's why the odds are so wide. I think that the odds are crazy. I think that this is a pick'em fight. Johnny Walker is so skilled in the striking and can do that weird stuff that kind of throw the Jamahal Hill off, but I'm going to pick Hill in this matchup because I think that the precision is going to beat the wild stuff. Even if Johnny Walker comes out and is vintage Johnny Walker, Jamahal is just like right there, boom, boom. When he comes down the pipe with it and he hits your chin, you're going to go lights out. I kind of not made fun of you, but I said that Johnny Walker doesn't have a chin. He has a chin, but it is, I would say he's chinny, right? We've seen the moments where it's like, is it there? Is it not? And if you get hit by Jamahal Hill, it's going to hurt and your lights are going to go out. Especially because Johnny, when he gets hit a lot, it's because he's doing wild stuff. So he's kind of going into strikes, I'm picking Jamahal Hill in this matchup. I can see him actually maybe he's kind of an underrated grappler. I know Johnny Walker is like technically kind of a better grappler, but I can see Jamahal Hill kind of shooting a takedown, maybe not early, but just try to control the pace of this because he likes it kind of a little bit slower. But the round line, we talked about the round line is at 1.5 for a 5-round fight, seems crazy to me. Even with these guys, I could see this easily being a 3-4, even a 5-round fight. So if you guys see that line 1.5, you want to play that, more power to you. I think Angelo placed a bet on that, but my pick in this fight is Jamahal Hill, but I think it's definitely a lot closer than people expect. If Johnny Walker comes out and does some wild stuff and gets a finish or a weird decision, then it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the 1.5. I forgot about that. I did a 2-unit bet on over 1.5. I think 2 units. Let me double check. Hold on. 2 units. Yep. I did a 2-unit bet on the over. And 1.5 is nothing. And Johnny Walker just went 5 rounds with somebody who hits way harder than Jamahal Hill. And I get it. Thiago Santos is not who he was since he lost to John Jones. But still, he's a durable guy. And if he is, let's put it this way. If my pick is wrong, okay, the pick's wrong. And he just dances around like he did against Thiago Santos, well, I'll hit that 2-unit bet. So, done. I'll take that. I'll take a bet over a pick any day of the week. But I love 2 units on the over 1.5 rounds for sure. DraftKings, I like Johnny Walker at $7,200, but when I did the DraftKings specific breakdown video, he only scored like 20 points in that 5-round loss to Thiago Santos. It was super, like that wasn't even 30 or 40 because he did nothing. Neither one of them did anything. They both were pretty embarrassing, but he did nothing. Like he just danced around the outside.
I think the main event could wake them up. I think this is like their moment. This is a big opportunity for both of them that were just gifted a main, because none of these guys would be in a main event, right? They were just kind of gifted this main event, so they might come out aggressive and kind of show out.
Well, Johnny Walker was in the main event against Thiago Santos.
Well, I'm saying, lost the fight. Going forward, he was probably not going to be in another main event for a long, long time, and they were gifted a main event. So,
I got you. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and listen, I mentioned the 5 rounds. The 5 rounds is a factor. We've never seen Jamahal Hill do that. We just watched Johnny Walker do it, and he didn't slow down. He was gun shy, wasn't busy, but he had no problem with 5 rounds. So, I got to go Johnny Walker here. I get why people love Jamahal Hill. He's fantastic. That one loss, I mean, you remember that loss?
Yeah, he snapped his arm, but I mean,
and he was throwing punches with the other arm. Like, it's crazy.
I know. The guy is crazy. And it's funny, too, because he was like in a triangle and arm barred and getting elbowed in the head. And then when they finally released him, he was just sitting there like he was fine. Like he wasn't getting choked out. He wasn't unconscious, and his arm was broke. He's like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, his arm was straight up broken. He didn't tap. The ref was like, whoa, we're done here. Your arm is broken. So listen, this actually ended up being a pretty fun main event. Obviously, Dos Anjos Fiziev would be a better main event, but this should be a fun fight. This whole card is kind of trash if you look at the names, but a bunch of good matchups, should be a lot of fun. Go to wewantpicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 5 betting partners. Make a deposit. Let me know after you do, and I'll send you $50 as a thank you for supporting us and our partners. Thanks for the watch. This is an interesting week. Jacob's going on vacation. I got family in town. We'll see what happens as far as our final videos are concerned, but we will make sure to get you all of that content. Like the video, subscribe. We'll see you later this week.